Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Jeff Berger here. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm pleased to introduce you to my two special guests today, internationally respected energy healers Crystalia Marie and Misa Hopkins. Combined, they have more than 40 years of experience in energy healing, and they're going to share with you three secrets you should know about avoiding or healing colds and flus with energy medicine. So let me share their bios with you. Crystalia Marie is an author and speaker whose healing miracle has launched her into sharing a brand new, highly effective methodology for alternative healing. After finding a golf ball sized lump in her breast, Crystalia followed her inner guidance to draw a healing symbol. In one brief session with the symbol, her lump was gone. Now, since then, she's continued to draw symbols for her own self healing and to help others heal from conditions ranging from headaches to cancer. Crystalia is the best-selling co-author with Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, and Mark Victor Hansen in the Wake Up Book series, and author of the 1-Minute Energy Tune-Up Book and Healing Kit series. Welcome, Crystalia.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm really excited to be here today.
And Misa Hopkins is a best-selling author, speaker, and clairvoyant, as well as a sound healer who uses her voice medicinally. Her sound medicine has helped many people around the world with a wide variety of maladies. She has also been teaching sound medicine to practitioners nationally for over 13 years. She first discovered the power of sound when her mother left her deathbed after Misa was guided by spirit to sing her a medicine song. And Misa is the author of the best-selling book, The Root of All Healing, 7 Steps to Healing Anything, as well as the co-founder and spiritual director of the New Dream Foundation, dedicated to awakening and healing in the sacred feminine. Misa is also a prolific blogger on self-healing and has recently appeared on NBC, Fox, and other TV shows. Welcome, Misa.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. It's really great to be here today.
So how did the two of you get interested in healing colds and flus? Misa?
It started with visions I was receiving, two very powerful ones a few years apart. The first was where I saw a virus entering a municipal water system. And the second was a vision in which I was actively in the vision. This was a virus being carried through the air. I contracted the virus and I was doubled over in pain. I was in so much pain I really thought I was going to die. In fact, I had to remind myself that I was in a vision to bring myself out of the pain. So I really knew with each of these visions that they were significant, and I wanted to make sure I understood what their meanings were. So I asked my trusted friend and energy healer Crystalia to meditate on them for her insights. And fortunately, her insights corroborated what I suspected was happening. And that was a call to action from Spirit to do two things. One, to help people understand what they can do to avoid these viruses and heal from them. And secondly, to use our unique energy medicines to create solutions that people could use. So in creating these energy medicine solutions, we discovered what people need to know in order to be effective with their energy healing using their own energy healing gifts.
So, Misa, your healing modality is sound, and Crystalia, yours is energy symbols. Now, you both discovered some important insights as you started working with energy medicine to help people. And before we talk about those insights, I want your viewers to understand each of you and your energy healing modalities. So, Crystalia, would you tell us about energy symbols for healing and how they work?
Thanks, Jeffrey, for asking. So basically, the idea of these images are that they are simple little colored drawings, but because of the fact that we are all energy, these actual images affect the energy of the body. So quantum physics has started to prove that everything is energy, and because of everything being energy, everything that we come in contact with also affects that energy. And so if you think about the fact that the color of that image is different based on the different colors I use, so it vibrates differently. The thoughts and prayers I put into the images as I create them creates a different vibration as well. And of course the shape in the image creates another vibration, and all combined creates the experience that I'm looking for with each of these particular images. Now, in addition to that, our own thoughts have something to do, as we're doing this, to how well energy medicine works. And so we can also use these images and other modalities like Mises sound medicine in order to affect the energy as well. And so our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs all affect it. Now, the way these particular symbols work is we actually affect the level of energy at the DNA level by replacing and repairing damaged energy. So I look at it as the energy is similar to a DNA strand, except instead it is an energy strand, and if it's damaged, then the energy of the symbol replaces and repairs that damaged energy. I hope that answers your question.
It does, and you know I'm a big fan of your work. Thanks. And Misa, how does sound medicine work?
We're really fortunate, Jeff. There's been a lot of research over the past 100 years teaching us a great deal about sound. For example, every sound has a geometric pattern, and we can actually observe this, for example, by putting sand on a metal tray, hitting it with a tuning fork, ding, and the sand will literally get up and jump around and create a geometric pattern. Now, if I were to smooth out the sand and tap it again with a different sound, say a tuning fork of a lower register, dee, the sound the geometry shifts to accommodate the new sound. So every unique sound has a unique geometric pattern. And current research is showing us that geometry exists in the cells of the body. Research is also being done where scientists are influencing the growth of new body parts using stem cells and geometry. So illness is disrupted vibrational frequency or geometric patterns. And with sound medicine, you give voice to the frequency that restores health, calls the cells to proper resonance, or basically restores the geometric alignment that creates health in the body.
So you're saying that by using energy healing, we can retrain our cells, and that is so cool. Now, some of our viewers are accomplished energy healers that probably feel like they're putting Band-Aids on these ever stronger strains of viruses and not getting the results anymore that they're used to. And on the other hand, we have some other viewers who are new to energy healing and are wondering if it can actually make a difference. So would you share some of the great discoveries you've made while doing energy healing work to help people with colds and flus? Crystalia?
Well, I think the first thing is to think about our core beliefs, which I alluded to a little bit in the last thing I stated, and that is getting down to the level of understanding what is the real belief underlying why we get colds and flus. Let me give you an example of a core belief. I had one for years. I worked on self-love, self-esteem, and discovered that I had an underlying belief that God was going to punish me if I loved myself. I couldn't move, no matter how many affirmations I did, and people teach these affirmations, I couldn't move beyond that because I had that belief that was never going to let me say I love myself and really take it in and mean it. So it's important for people to look at what are their core beliefs. Let me give you a couple examples of core beliefs for attracting a cold or a flu, and that would be things like I get a cold or I get the flu every holiday season, every winter, one of those things. How about I get colds or flus every 3 or 4 times a year? You have that belief. Or how about the one, my kids always come home with it, and I know I'm going to get it as soon as they come home. Then we have the next belief that is something off the TV that told us it's going to take 2 weeks to heal no matter what, or it's going to take, we have a belief it always takes us a week to get better, those kinds of things. I can't get enough rest. I don't have the time to. Those kinds of things stop us as well. So with energy healing, it's important to look at those core beliefs. It's also really important to look at to be able to be open to every possibility, not to shut yourself down from all possibilities. And one quick story, I had a lady, as an example, who saw my book of energy symbols, reached over, touched this symbol, having no idea what they were, but she wasn't closed down, in other words, And she said, my pain just went away on my shoulder. What is that? I looked down, it was an arnica symbol. So she didn't have a belief one way or the other, and it immediately affected her shoulder. I will guarantee you, though, if you have a belief that you're not going to get well with energy medicine, and that's what you're strongly believing, you're not going to get well, okay? It's, you know, that's your belief, and you're going to keep that belief, just like my core belief I explained a minute ago. So keep in mind also to take time for yourself. You do need to take some time for this self-healing. You've got to take time for your rest and all of that. For long-term effect, you really do need to work on these core beliefs, because if you don't, it'll keep coming back, versus if you take care of it once, you may never even have it come back again. And pay attention to what you're saying to everybody, because that's really important. How much are you repeating out loud that, you know, is a core belief, really, and you're not even aware you're saying it about colds and flus?
Thanks. So I know you have some facts and related stories to back up what you're sharing.
One of them is an interesting Harvard study that took two groups of people, and they basically said to one group, we want you to exercise, just flex your finger, X number of times a day. And the other half of the group was told to think about flexing that finger. So just think, I'm flexing my finger, I'm flexing my finger. At the end of the study, 53% of the first group that actually did the exercise saw their finger get stronger. But what's fascinating is 35% of the other group that just thought it, their finger got stronger as well.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then another one is the placebo effect, and this one I found really fascinating as well. This one is done by Baylor College of Medicine, and they were doing arthroscopic surgery on people's knees. And one of their professors decided to test the placebo effect, so they told a group of people, some of you are going to get the surgery, some won't. And so they did, part of them with the surgery. They cut the knee open on the others so they couldn't tell whether they had the surgery or not. And after monitoring them for 2 years and then out again for 5 years, they found that both groups, get this, both groups had a 50% relief over that time. Both groups were identical, to the point that they actually said they discontinued offering that surgery because they realized everybody was only getting the placebo effect from having the surgery, which was not necessary.
I'm sorry. I was just flashing on Saturday Night Live back in like the 70s, and Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin being with two wild and crazy guys, and Steve Martin was talking about he's just tried this new drug, man. It's far out. It's called the placebo, man.
That's great, Jeff.
All right, but I digress. So, Misa, you have discovered another key ingredient to giving your cells the energetic focus they need to remove viruses from your body.
Well, here's one of the big secrets. In energy healing, you must get down to the DNA. DNA determines information that is available to our bodies for building and maintaining our bodies. So DNA, this is a fact, DNA does not know what to do with viruses. If it did, we would get well almost immediately after we contracted a virus. It would begin healing, but we don't. We wait for the virus to basically die out in our bodies. It's a fact that the new physics is showing us that we are able to teach our DNA right down to our genetic code. We are able to make changes with our thoughts and our intentions.
So, I think you have some stories and examples to share about what you're talking about, right?
I do. My sound medicine for cold and flu goes right into the DNA. My friend Judy had a CD of my sound medicine, and she had some guests over the winter, a mom, a dad, and 2 boys. One of their sons had contracted a flu virus and was sick at home. She was out with the mother and the other boy, who was quite well, and asked them if they would be interested in trying something a little new and different for preventing cold and flu. And so she played the sound medicine for them. As it turns out, the mother and the son who listened to the sound medicine did not contract the flu. The father, who had not had the benefit of the sound medicine did contract the flu, and the boy that had the flu originally simply, by the way, did not get any exposure to the sound medicine, simply had to be with that virus until it finally died in his body.
Okay.
Another circumstance where a gentleman has been listening to some sound medicine I created, again, focusing on the DNA and training the DNA to protect itself from viruses and to remove those viruses once they enter the body. He's been listening to that sound medicine every day since September 2009 and has never gotten sick with a cold or the flu. So Crystalia and I, with the number of experiences we've seen over the years, believe that with a clear mind, a compassionate heart, a clear intention, a trust in the divine, all energy workers and individuals who work with healing energy can make a difference at the DNA level.
Thanks for sharing that. And I know that there's a third insight that you have in addressing a new invader that neither is neither a virus or a bacteria. So before we talk about how to address it, let's talk about what it is. Misa, you received a vision about this new kid on the block. What's going on with this?
I did. This vision was really interesting for me. It was coming out of the dream time, and a man was coming to me and Crystalia in the dream, trying to get our attention, and then he would hide. And he repeated this pattern multiple times. So when I came out of my dream time, I went immediately into meditation and found the spirit of this man and said, "What's going on?" And he explained that he had created an entity. It's not a virus and it's not a bacteria, though it is protein-based. This was intended, by the way, to be used for war. And he said it's been released and people in the general public are experiencing it. They're getting it. And I said, okay, so what are they getting? What is this? And this is the information that I received, that it mimics strep throat, but is not strep. It's powdery, it's airborne, it lasts in your body for about 20 days, and it does not appear to the body as a foreign substance. So this was really new. I actually had a vision some years ago that told me there was going to be something new coming and to watch for it, but it wasn't on the scene yet, and it arrived just last year. So I asked Crystalia to meditate with this, not telling her anything except something new is out, not a bacteria or a virus, making people ill. What do you get? And to see if what she got in meditation would corroborate what I got. And she actually was able to corroborate my own meditative insights.
So Crystalia, what was your experience then?
So Misa actually, I don't even think she shared quite as much as she just said there. And she just said there's something new on the block, basically, to me. Why don't you meditate and see what you get? And I got pretty clear. The first thing was that it was something powdery that was that I heard the words anthrax. And then I said anthrax, and I got anthrax-like in its delivery mechanism. And I actually saw an image of someone dropping envelopes with something powdery into mailboxes. And I'm not saying that's how it's being delivered. It was more of saying it's going to be delivered out into the general public. That's what that meant to me. And so, and I knew also that it was going to cause something that appeared to be like the flu or strep or colds, that kind of thing was kind of what I sensed out of the whole thing. The interesting thing was, after that meditation, I also received an email from Dr. Mercola, because I happened to be on his list. And he was talking about a woman in his office that had a strep-like illness, and she basically said that she had come into contact with it by working with somebody in a senior's home that was had Alzheimer's, and they were sick. And she got ill, and she went to her doctor, and in this case, the doctor actually tested for what it was versus just assuming, like happens so often at this time of year, they just assume and send you home with meds. He actually tested and said it wasn't strep, although it was acting like strep, and I thought that was interesting confirmation that there was something out there, and it also took her, I believe it said, a couple weeks to really get totally healthy.
Okay, so fact, this is not something that's commonly known. Fact, this is not currently being identified in the medical community. So what can we do about this new invader that you're calling the mimicker? Misa?
Right, and we're calling it the mimicker because it mimics strep throat.
Right.
And there is something that we can do about it. We can use our own energy to heal. And I believe these new strong strains of viruses, this new entity, this mimicker, are really giving us an opportunity to say, how do we want to evolve as a species? Because we can. And as we've been talking about, we can affect our own DNA. Our tendency is to say, oh my gosh, this is new and we don't have any natural defenses, and oh my gosh, I hope I don't get it, and otherwise I'm going to be sick for 4 to 6 weeks, and we go into fear mode. But we don't have to do that. We can choose to respond and respond consciously. Now, a couple of things about that we need to remember. That first of all, this is not a virus or a bacteria. It's not a known substance. So when you're setting your intentions, you want to be very clear that you're programming the DNA, this was the second piece, to address any foreign substance. Any foreign substance. That will include cold viruses, bacteria, the mimicker, and anything else that might be showing up that we don't know about yet.
I know that you have a story or two that you wanted to tell about this, and actually I wanted to share that.
Yeah, please do. You're the person to share it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been using your sound medicine and Crystalia symbols for years, and I got taken down by something right around this time when you were sussing out this idea of the mimicker, and you checked in energetically and found this mimicker in that same time, and I think I was the catalyst for for that, as a matter of fact. And you created some sound medicine in that moment that I started using, and I got better a lot faster than anybody else with this thing was getting better. And so I was very grateful also that you just started including that when you were providing sound medicine for cold and flu with people. So I know I just stole your story, but that's
actually, that was great. That was great. I'm glad you shared it, Jeff.
Yeah, and then you sent it out to some other folks, right?
Yes, and what was really significant about this, as you might recall, Jeff, is that you were using what you normally use in terms of symbols from Crystalia and sound medicine from me to address viruses and bacteria.
Right.
And normally, if you've got a virus that's come into your body within a day, at max 2, listening like 3 times a day, plastering the symbols on your body, and it goes away. But it wasn't going away. You were into your 3rd day, and we were both very concerned because you weren't even showing improvement.
Right.
And that was the same time that I was talking with Crystalia about what is this, and is this another call to action for us to develop more energy medicine? And so I did for you, and I remember the sound of that mimicker. It was otherworldly. I could not reproduce that sound with my voice consciously today if I tried. It came through, and that was the identity of that mimicker in that moment. And then I was able to connect with it and address the DNA and shift the energy in your body. And you healed within 24 hours. You were up around the house doing things again, and you had been laying in bed. So that was a very strong indicator to me that we did have something new. And we went ahead and shared the sound medicine and symbols that Crystalia received with people we knew that were struggling with strep-like symptoms and had been, some of them for 2 weeks with no change. The antibiotics weren't touching it. Sent the sound medicine to them and said, this is still new. You're welcome to try it if you'd like to see if it makes a difference. And we were getting the same reports back that within a day, 2 days, they were seeing dramatic improvement. And that was the point at which we decided to make sure that anyone that had was using our sound medicine or symbols had access to the Mimicker as a gift. We just gave it to people. We didn't want people, using the virus defense stuff and thinking they were taking care of the virus and it wasn't working. And so that was also part of the reports back that we received was, yes, this finally made the difference for me. Thank you for sending it.
Awesome. Thanks again. So we've gotten 3 insights today, and Crystalia, you can probably summarize them better than I can. Would you?
Well, thanks, Jeffrey. I'll be happy to do that. So the first one I think is real key is pay attention to your core beliefs, meaning pay attention to what your beliefs are about getting sick as well as getting healthy faster if you do contract something. So if your beliefs aren't strong enough, make sure that next time you make the belief of not getting sick stronger. The next one is be sure to train your DNA. Start using energy healing to train your DNA to deal with these more virulent bacterias and viruses that are out there. And of course the last one is, remember, there is this new invader, and I believe there'll probably be others in the future. So the sooner you start training your DNA to even handle things that are not viruses and not bacterias, the better off you're going to be.
Thanks, Crystalia. So there you have it, folks. We all carry inside us the innate ability to use our energy to avoid colds and flus. And you can use the insights that Crystalia and Misa have shared today to keep yourself and your family healthy during cold and flu season. Now, if Crystalia and Misa make all this sound easy, that's because they came in with gifts of being energy healers, and it comes naturally to them. Now, I know that my mileage will vary if I rely on myself to do this work all on my own, especially on my busy schedule. And that's why I rely on their symbols and sound medicine. And you might be wondering if your core beliefs are strong enough to send these viruses packing at the DNA level, or whether you have time to focus on integrating energy work into your life. And you might be an energy healer who would value some extra support right there at home in case you do become ill. And that's why Misa and Crystalia have created their cold and flu kit with sound medicine and healing symbols that you can use to protect yourself effortlessly. This is the same energy medicine that I've used for a decade to stay healthy. And if that's something that interests you, you can see and hear samples of these symbols and the sound medicine too in the next video, End Cold and Flu Video 3. So Crystalia and Misa, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules today.
Thank you, Jeffrey, for having me. I really enjoyed being here.
Thanks, Jeff. This was really great. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about this with folks.
My pleasure. And thanks so much for you watching at home for joining us as well. We'll see you in the next video.